Hi everybody, thanks for joining me for another tutorial in Melinda's Rubber Room. I am Melinda Pierce and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I'm coming to you first thing in the morning, so I still have my morning voice, so excuse me. This is a card that I showed last week at my Zoom session on Wednesday mornings from 10 a.m. to noon. I do those every Wednesday, or I try to. So I provide all of the measurements ahead of time for you to do the card with me, and then we walk through it together. So I'm going to follow that up with a quick YouTube video to show you how to do it if you weren't able to join me for my Zoom session. So I'm going to put you down to my work surface and get right to it. What I'm doing today is a little bit different because I'm not using all of the extra mats. So if you want the measurements for the mats, you can see them over here on my little cheat sheet here, or you can follow along and just take an 1/8 inch off of the measurements that I'm showing you in order to get your measurements for the designer series paper. So the designer series paper that I'm using today is the it's called Let's Go Fishing. It's this very fun paper to use, and it's great for masculine cards, which I'm always having difficulty making. So I'm going to be using that today. And we are going to start with a piece of cardstock that measures 6 3/4 by 5 1/2, and that is scored at 2 1/2. So it's scored 2 1/2 along the long side, and you're just going to fold that in as a mountain fold, and that's going to be on the left hand side of your card. Now we have a piece of designer series paper that's going to go on the front. Again, if you're doing the mat, this would be a mat that measures 5 3/8 by 2 3/8. I'm just going to go ahead and adhere that. Opted to do this one without the mats just to show you another option if you're concerned about postage. Okay, so this piece here measures 5 3/8 by 2 5/8. So on my original card, I had put just a piece of white cardstock back there, and it does have embossing on it, so that's an option as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and adhere that. You can see that I'm using both sides of that designer series paper, which is nice because everything in that designer series paper pack all coordinates, which is great for these types of cards where you can show multiple pieces of designer series paper and all of its beauty. Okay, and now I have a piece that goes on the inside, and this measures 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. Alrighty, now we have the mechanism that goes on the inside, and this measures 9 3/4 by 3 1/2, and it's scored at 2 inches, 3 inches, 5 1/4, and 7 1/2. And the way that you want to fold that is you want to start from the right hand side and just fold it as a mountain fold, and then it's a valley fold, and then you have another mountain fold right at the top. So let me show that a little bit closer. So you have valley fold, mountain fold, and a mountain fold. Did I say that right? I guess that's a valley fold. Might be easier on the side. So it looks like that once it's folded. And the idea is that this piece here lays flat on top of your card. So if you look at the original, you can see that this has the two sections that have the score line down the center, and then it opens like that. Okay, so hopefully that gives you a better idea. So I'm just going to go ahead and, so when you're folding it in, just make sure everything folds in nice and flat on each other, and use your bone folder to make some nice secure folds on that. Because the measurements are just right as far as getting these pieces the same size, you might have a little bit of tightness in your fold. So just kind of double check it to make sure it's going to lie down flat. So with that all assembled together, I'm just going to let's see. I think I'm going to go ahead and put my designer series paper on it first. Okay, so this is going to be the front. This measures 3 3/8. Just make sure 3 3/8 by 1 7/8. So that's just a little bit smaller than some of the other pieces. So that's going to go on the front of my mechanism. And this will also be on the front of your card. So sometimes if you're using some really busy designer series paper, you may want to separate it with a little bit more neutral colors as well. And then we have this little piece that's going to go right in here, and that measures 3 3/8 by 7/8. I love this water looking paper. So pretty. All right, so that mechanism is going to open like that. And then let's see, I have 3 pieces that measure 2 1/8 by 3 3/8. Let's see how I was going to put those together. I think I wanted this one here. This one here. Nope, that one over there. And this one here. Okay, and then you're going to have this middle section. That's going to be actually where you're going to have your greeting. And that piece measures 2 1/8 by 3 3/8. So it's the same size as these designer series paper pieces, but you want it to be a white piece or off-white or something that you can see your greeting on. If you wanted more space for your greeting, you could always leave one of these other pieces off-white or white as well. You can see I already stamped my greeting, and I just cut out one of those little fishes from the designer series paper and glued that on the front of that piece there. And again, I felt this was getting a little bit busy here, so I wanted to bring in a little bit more subtle color paper here. And then this one is going to go right on top again. Just like so. Okay, so now you have your mechanism all decorated. So now you can bring in your card again. Put these out of the way. And what you're going to do is place this so that the mechanism is about maybe 1/8 of an inch from the side. Basically what you want to do is make sure that this fold line here is clear of this line here, of this edge. And when you open it, you can kind of see how it's going to open like that. So it's always a good idea to just kind of do a test fit to see how it's all going to open up. Make sure all of your score lines are clear and that your glue is going to go in the right place. So what I'm going to do is just take that whole thing off. I'm just going to put glue on this smaller section. Make sure you don't put glue on this overhanging area. And I'm just going to slide this in. That looks about right. I can see it's going to open like that. So now I can go ahead and glue down this piece here. I'm just going to fold this back a little bit so I can get some adhesive on there. Make sure you don't glue down that whole piece because that's going to glue your card shut. So you just want some on the edges here. And then that will open like that. So now I'm just going to put my greeting on the front. And I have a couple of circles cut out. Just going to go ahead and adhere those to each other. And then I cut out a little anchor, stamp that, and die cut that out. That is from the Beauty of the Deep stamp set and dies. And then I have this little greeting that I cut out, stamped that and die cut it out as well. This is a great little set for greetings. It has all the little dies to cut out the greetings that are inside the set. So you can see I used that one there. And it just gives you a nice outline of the stamped image, just like that. So no fussy cutting there, it's all just the die. So I'm just going to go ahead and adhere this circle. Again, you want to make sure that you're not adhering it past that score line. So I'm just going to do about half of this. About there. And then I am going to put my anchor there and my greeting. I think I'm going to raise those up on dimensionals. If you've watched my videos before, you know I love my dimensionals, and just adding a little bit of variety to my card. Again, this card is a little thick, so you may want to opt out of the dimensionals, depending on if you're doing the extra layers. And I'll just do a couple more on the greeting. Just like so. And there is that completed card. So just a nice fun way to make another card. Not too difficult, lots of layers in designer series paper, which is a great use for that beautiful paper that we hate to cut. So I hope you enjoyed that video, and feel free to join us on Wednesdays. We always have a fun time going through the tutorial together and sharing what's happening in our lives and any questions we have about stamping or otherwise. So if you have any questions, feel free to message me on my YouTube channel or on my Facebook page at Melinda's Rubber Room. I'd be happy to help you out with any questions you might have. And if you would like to make any purchases, feel free to support me at my online store at www.melindapierce.stampinup.net. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.